Hey, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about my first comic book on this channel, and that's going to be Kingdom Come by Mark Waid and Alex Ross. Kingdom Come is a 4-part comic originally published in 1996. Set in an alternate 2015, Kingdom Come is a story of a civil war between the superheroes. One so final that it will bring about an end to their era, but not without first defining the nature of heroism. And here's the cover of my copy of Kingdom Come. You can see it's a really beautiful cover illustrated by Alex Ross. And then just for fun, here's the back cover too. So going right into the plot and pacing, when the story starts, the Justice League is disbanded and Superman's in seclusion. Our narrator, Norman McKay, a human pastor, is told of a coming apocalypse. With the world now teeming with would-be heroes, Norman sees chaotic sequences of superheroes fighting openly in the city with blatant disregard for the humans occupying the streets below. In the midst of this battle, a news report announces Kansas has been demolished when would-be superhero leader Magog deployed Captain Atom into battle. Atom is killed, resulting in a nuclear blast, leaving the land irradiated and killing millions. In an attempt to rein in the chaos, Wonder Woman visits Superman, urging him out of his voluntary seclusion to instill order back into the world. So going into the characters of Kingdom Come, we have all of our classic Justice League cast: Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, Hawkman, Green Arrow, Black Canary, Shazam, and more. Bearing in mind that this is supposed to be a future state, a lot of these original Justice League characters are visibly aged. We then have what I'm referring to as like an extended cast, characters that we still might know well, but not our classic Justice League, including Nightwing, Power Girl, Sandman, Red Tornado, Catwoman, Lex Luthor, and Vandal Savage. And lastly, we have quite a large extended cast of new characters. So Nightstar, who is the daughter of Starfire and Nightwing. We have Green Lantern's daughter. We also have Black Canary 2, who's Green Arrow and Black Canary's daughter. We have Magog, and lastly, Norman McKay. Norman's the sole non-vigilante character that we follow in the story. He's a disillusioned pastor who has lost faith, both biblically and in the superheroes who he once instilled his trust into. Norman is traveling with the Spectre, an angelic cloaked figure who is able to transport them through time and space invisibly as watchers on the events unfolding. Norman believes this to be in order to avert the crisis foretold to him. Now, going into some of the themes presented in the story. Firstly, we have religious connotation. So through the title alone, a sense of religious themes is implied. Our narrator is a pastor, so at times he quotes scripture pertaining to the events unfolding within the story. The story also shows us a closer look at just how powerful and potentially scary these super beings can be when they begin to lose their moral code and act more like gods or adversely demons. Secondly, through the story, we're able to examine the once great heroes of yesterday beginning to fall into irrelevance as the world has moved on and the old order of what it means to be a hero no longer applies with the new generation. Thirdly, we examine the humanity within the superheroes themselves. So, originally thought to be indestructible godlike beings, through our guide, Norman, we're able to take a closer look into the struggles superheroes face, particularly within Superman. Being the moral center for heroism, he's faced with near impossible choices under growing scrutiny of his leadership. Now going into the good and bad elements of the story. So firstly, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the #1 spot here is definitely the art by Alex Ross. He's completed full paints for this comic, which in and itself is an unusual medium choice, but the effects are absolutely beautiful. he's able to capture the realism and humanity with the near perfection of superhuman physique. Secondly, it's clear to me when reading this story that both Alex Ross and Mark Waid have a really deep understanding of comic lore, a lot deeper than I do. And I think that knowledge is used really beautifully to enrich the text and include Easter eggs and a lot of really cool new character concepts. So I think we're able to see this through the characters of Shazam and Menagerie. Shazam is a pivotal player in this story and one of the great surprises while reading. Menagerie, on the other hand, formerly Beast Boy, a favorite character in the Teen Titans, Alex has envisioned him to be deformed from his years of transformation. He now resembles one of the flying monkeys from The Wizard of Oz and is only to morph into fantasy creatures. So unfortunately, I think the deep knowledge between the creators made for a little bit of a double-edged sword, as the text is sometimes a little bit diluted. I think the creators were trying a little bit too hard to make the story resonate on a deeper thematic level, but due to the page constraints put upon them, they were not able to fully develop the story and its multitude of new characters in a satisfying way. Ultimately, through the sheer volume included in the text, I think the reader ends with feeling a little bit overwhelmed. Additionally, I didn't actually like the narrative choice of choosing Norman McKay. I think if a human guide was wanted, choosing someone more within the demographic of reading comics would have been a more appropriate choice, as ultimately, I didn't feel his inclusion in the story added anything narratively. For me, this left an especially bitter taste, as when the other rich stories of the superheroes was foregone due to the publishing limit, it's a little bit disappointing that so much of the story was devoted to Norman. Going into my final thoughts, I can definitely appreciate the grandeur of what the creators were going for here, and in some ways, I think that they accomplished their goals. While I don't think it's close to perfect, and I'm slightly dissatisfied with the depth in some places, overall, this story was very beautiful and enjoyable to read. I think if you're a comics fan, specifically of DC and Alan Moore's old Batman stories, this may be a great addition into your comics library. However, I would not recommend for new comics readers, as the inclusion of so many new characters make for a difficult reading experience, as you're not sure who is who and what all of the context behind the story is. I will say though, if you're a DC fan, based on the art alone, the story is well worth a read. So I'm curious if you've read Kingdom Come, if you're familiar with Alex Ross or Mark Waid. If you're a big DC fan, do you like some of these comics or graphic novels? Should I do more of these in the future? If you are a big fan of comics or graphic novels, I'd love to know some of your favorites as well, because I'm always interested in reading more of those stories too. Let me know if you like this video, if there's other things you wish I had talked about more, something I maybe didn't go in depth enough into, if there's other elements of the writing or story structure that you would like to know and for me to include next time. And thank you so much for watching.